Welcome to the Carnelian Sisterhood, where badass babes join forces to celebrate one another's vibrancy. We know empowered women empower women. The Carnelian Sisterhood offers a fresh and electric take on self-care, spirituality, sexuality, and other topics for the modern self-identifying woman. Join myself, your good facilitator, and the rest of your sisters here every week for your fix of high vibes and good times. I am woman. Hello, welcome back to the Carnelian Sisterhood Podcast. Happy full moon. Today, under the full moon in Leo, us lone wolves are coming out of the cave and into our howling, wild woman pack mentality where we can honor ourselves in all the ways we shine. Because while us lone wolves may feel like we thrive in solitude, we deserve to feel that support and celebration from other magnificent beings among us. I also have a lone wolf EFT tapping that will be in the Don't Cap Just Tap series on our website. So you can get even more in the groove, open up that heart space further, and get eager to meet like-minded people. And today we're going to expand on this topic even further so that we can fully shine and embrace ourselves as contributing members to whatever space we feel called to, whether it's the Carnelian Sisterhood and our growing community, or it's a yoga group in your city, or who knows what. You know what, because you've been following along with our juiciness inside TCS, you may be totally opening up to all of your richness and all of the things you desire within yourself and within the people around you. So I did a poll the other day, and I was completely shook by the fact that 100% of the voters identify with being a lone wolf. I was shook, but not necessarily shocked. Because I found that many people who tend to take on the journey from self-work to absolutely work in it tend to go through this phase or find themselves in this role of the hermit or the wise man, the sage. People who tend to be very introspective and need time alone to process the world and their experiences in it. People who really just have this magnificent radiance to them. And it feels like they kind of need to be preserved at times because the world can get a little greedy with it. And while that's all fine and dandy to be your own best company, the bottom line is that people need people. If you've checked out the massive, juicy list of human needs, the freebie download on TCS website, you may be nodding your head right now like hell to the yeah we do. That list is just enormous, and I simply love myself too much to give myself all that work. Because it's just too much. Even if you are ultra independent, I don't need no man like I used to be. The truth is that we are social creatures, and our neurobiology is built to function in a society with other people, and to work in unison, and to actually be way more connected than we are as a society. But that's going a little far out, and we can save that for a rainy day. Today I want to dive into the reasons we may have adopted the lone wolf role, how it's such a beautiful gift to be able to lean into, but also why we can't simply exist in this one role or any one role for the sake of being our most full, multifaceted, vivacious selves. You see, like any role we've adapted into our lives, it showed up there to serve us in some way, somehow. You know, if you listen to the archetype episode, this may sound a little familiar. For me, the lone wolf role was modeled in my family system. I grew up in a pack of lone wolves. How ironic, right? But seriously, everyone in my family unit was very self-isolating and a bit withdrawn, all very into our own worlds, mentally, physically, spiritually. For me, it was just how I thought we humans had to be. But I often found myself really confused in the world because I saw people so intertwined, sharing so much of their experiences and open with their emotions, etc. I felt like an outsider sometimes, and maybe like a fly on the wall for a really long time, actually. It was like a social imposter syndrome. I don't know if that's a real thing, but that's how I'm going to explain it for now. Right? Like, I know I'm friends with these people. I have been for decades. But, like, I also don't know why you guys are telling me so much about things that I feel like are meant to be private or handled in a different way. For example, a friend would get a bad grade, and the entire social circle would know about it because they told everyone and everyone's mama about the bad grade and sought out advice on how to do better, or what their older brother did to handle the harsh teacher in the past, or received validation from others that they've all had bad grades and been there before. Whereas for me, with my family system and their steel wall over boundary model, I would have gotten the grade and struggled to tell anyone close to me about it because I didn't want to feel like I was complaining or feel like I needed them to give me the answers or that I couldn't work it out for myself on how to do better the next time. You see, as a lone wolf, it taught me how to take care of my business, which is an awesome trait, and I don't want to trade it for anything in the world. But it also kept me from a lot of really supportive things in my life that were more than likely replaced with a ton of unnecessary pressure. And it all boils down to balance. Too little sharing our experiences with others creates a pressure that we have to experience so many things on our own and may not even know how to share things if we wanted to. And too much sharing creates a feeling of constant outside approval. There's a few B words we like here in TCS, but this all comes down to how boundaries were modeled for us growing up or how we adopted them to serve us throughout our life, right? Because boundaries can certainly change over time and usually are changed the fastest and most drastically if something traumatic happens. Quick sidebar, let's for a moment take the drama out of trauma. Sometimes trauma is huge and scary and can leave us with all kinds of emotional wounds. But other times, trauma is a bump to the head or a phone call that was really unexpected with some really bad news. Something that may seem insignificant in our minds because so often we relate trauma to some horrific incident that could be used as a Hollywood plot, but that's just simply not the case. So somewhere down the line, we could have experienced a trauma that redesigned our boundaries and left us with the open book tendencies or lone wolf tendencies. Neither are right, neither are wrong. They just are. And just like anything, they each have wisdom and gifts to offer us on how to create more balance within. Going back to the example of the bad grades, we can see that our friend definitely sought out a lot of support after that, but maybe the grade was a pop quiz that ultimately wasn't even going to impact their final grade. However, they felt the need to tell everyone they bumped into at the lockers. They shared it with the entire gym class. And then they went on about it at the dinner table until they finally received enough confirmation that this grade was in fact a bad grade and that they would be able to do things better next time. This is someone who may learn from someone who identifies with the hermit. This person who finds themselves, particularly in times of distress or confusion, in solitude, reflecting on their experiences and processing their actions, coming to terms with what steps got them to where they are, and resurrecting a light within themselves of confidence and self-worth, or whatever it is that they needed to preserve and learn from their actions. The hermit is truly a beautiful role to find ourselves in from time to time. It's all about getting truly comfortable in solitude, rediscovering our innate gifts and capacity to move forward. The hermit in the tarot is often depicted holding a lantern in a dark setting, symbolizing that even though they can't see much further ahead of them, they have the wisdom to take one thing at a time, one foot in front of the other, and they will eventually be led towards where they are aiming to go. Honoring this archetype within ourselves is a way to create so much self-trust and self-assurance that we can handle whatever it is that's thrown at us and not lose sight of who we are, the knowledge we've attained, the gifts we possess, and the path that we're on. But just like anything, even too much medicine can become poison, right? It's all about that balance. Because while the Hermit card to me symbolizes this beautiful ability to reach fulfillment through withdrawing from the outside world and coming to this innate wisdom within, there is the other side to life that they're missing out on. There's a whole world out there beyond our cave, lone wolves, and there are people out there to experience it with. who are filled with joy to teach us without us searching for the answers ourselves, right? The human need that really helps me to embrace that pack mentality is that it's a need to be needed. It feels really good to be trusted in, relied upon, sought out for. So I have a little homework exercise for you as we enter spring, the season of coming to life, of opening up to the world, or blooming into our next fullest version of ourselves in this evolution cycle of the Wheel of the Seasons. I want you to take a look at that juicy list of human needs that I mentioned earlier. It's free for download on the Carnelian Sisterhood website. And when you go on to download it, there'll be a preview that gives you maybe a third, a quarter of the list, and you'll just get an idea of just what we're twerking with. So go ahead, download that list, and then I want you to create your own list split into 3 categories. What I do for myself, what I expect from a partner, and what I expect from others. This could be friends, family, therapist, coaches, teammates, coworkers, etc. Okay, so as we go into this next chapter, this next season, we'll have a realistic and comfortable idea of what we really need from ourselves and from the world around us. Ask yourself if you've been putting too much pressure on yourself to get these needs met alone. Or have you maybe put pressure on others to meet needs that really would have been best met yourself? Okay, because us ultra-independent, ain't nobody got me like I got me lone wolves sometimes need to give ourselves some slack. We sometimes need to wake up and smell the blooming roses of this upcoming spring and realize that it's okay to need a pack for some of these things. It's safe to need others for some of these things. Right? Because some of us may have willingly adopted the role of the lone wolf or the hermit or whatever it may have been, as it was doing us a service. But some of us may have adopted this role for survival. We got burnt by our last pack. The people we thought we could trust betrayed us. People weren't as reliable as we needed them to be, etc., etc. Again, this list, this exercise can be really helpful to make sense of all of that and where we fall on the spectrum of reasonable or unreasonable expectations we put on ourselves and others. But one way or another, we felt like, you know what, fuck that, I'm good on my own. Until we're not, right? Until we're going through the thick of it and feel like we don't have anyone to turn to because we've kept so much to ourselves for so long. Or because we have guarded our hearts out of protection that we lost touch with how it feels to be soft and accepting and receptive, until we've pushed away people we really do care about because it feels good for them to be in a pack, or they feel like we don't really see their value in what they bring to our lives. Whether it was intentional or not, our lone wolf tendencies do impact the way others feel around us. So let's begin to understand what it means to create a pack mentality. Because although coming out of the hermit mode and going straight into being a complete social butterfly sounds amazing, it is not always easy, especially if we have dwelled in our hermit cave for quite some time. It helps to start with the people we really feel connected to already. Maybe it's our friends we've always kept relatively close to us, family members, or a supportive group or community that you know is interested in or seeking out the same things you are. As you get cozier with showing up authentically and vulnerably in these connections, it will be easier to feel that safety with new people and in bigger communities. So here are a few tips for calling in your pack. Number 1, know who you are. You probably have a good handle on this one already, so kudos to you. It's just so much easier to connect with like-minded people if you know your own mind, the things you're interested in, the things that challenge you, your taste, your dislikes, your humor, etc. Get really acquainted with yourself so that you can begin easily acquainting yourself with others. Number 2, go to places you'd find yourself. Maybe it's a library, a record store, a park, a gym, etc., and begin casually chatting with whoever shows up there. You don't have to be besties with everyone you meet to begin adopting a pack-like mentality. Just dip your toes into the water of introducing yourself and small talk, and who knows, that person could end up as your new bestie after all, and you would have never even known it before. Number 3, work with your heart space, and I mean work with it. Don't force yourself into what feels uncomfortable. Honor where you're at and understand your heart is a really special energy center and deserves to be seen by you out of anyone, right? Understand that this is the energy center responsible for authenticity, compassion, vulnerability, and aligned connections. Take your time with it. Honor what emotions and sensations come up and work with heart-centered tools to help you get balance if you notice yourself triggered in social settings as you start to emerge into this pack mentality. The Head to Heart episode is a great one for learning more about this, and I also released a Sistars special episode in our private women's community that has some of my favorite heart-opening tools that keep me grounded, authentic, and vulnerable when I feel emotionally or energetically charged. Remember, it will be foreign to work from this energy center right away. Leaving the comfort zone is, well, uncomfortable at first. But get comfy with the uncomfy. The stepping into new territories, an expansion of self, is a beautiful experience. And tip number 4, work through the subconscious blocks or limiting beliefs around meeting new people. Of course, you know I love EFT for this, and you can check out our Don't Cap Just Tap series for working through some of these blocks like the new Lone Wolf Tap, but it's also really useful to have self-development professionals around you like a coach or a therapist to support you through this goal. With curiosity and compassion, ask yourself, what about meeting people is so difficult? Trust me, your brain will have answers. Write them down and tap on them. Feel free to send them my way either through comment or DM if you'd like me to do a tapping demo around what shows up for you. And then ask yourself, what would it feel like to really be seen? I mean seen. In all your magic, all your gifts, all your weaknesses, all your stories, seen, honored, celebrated, and accepted. Fear of visibility is something many people experience, whether it's showing up online, letting our flaws, failures be seen, or maybe dressing in a way that keeps eyes off of us or preserves an image. It can show up in many different ways. In one way or another, it is a way of shrinking down to skirt around the public eye, or even the eye of those closest to us, to steer clear of criticism, judgment, or ridicule. But I gotta ask, does it ever rid of it completely? Hell to the no. I remember when I was in a very difficult time in my life. I had such a fear of visibility that had developed to keep me safe. I stopped dressing up. I stopped doing anything that would make me stand out. I barely spoke up. I'm talking an extreme fear of my own magic and visibility that kept me safe in one way. But honey, people are always going to talk shit. People are always going to have something to say. Just the same way we have opinions about what others do. It's our brain's job to literally see life, and our ego creates quote-unquote judgment around it to understand how we're relating to these things, people, and how we are individual from them. But the thing about this fear of visibility was that not only did I become so sensitive to healthy opposition or criticism, but I also dimmed down all my vibrance, radiance, and magic to the point that I felt like a mere shade of who I once knew myself to be. I'll go more into this fear of visibility and how it relates to the witch's wound of accessing our most stellar, magical potential in the world in next week's episode. But for now, I encourage you to start letting yourself be seen in places by people who light you up inside, who celebrate your wins, and who encourage you as you fall. It's so special to have people in your life who you can practice this with and who encourage a safety within yourself to explore this. These cherished people are those who will make it easier to embody this kind of authenticity with anyone you meet. These people are your pack. It's a very vulnerable experience to let yourself be seen and not seen in a preserved image that you want for the world, but for the full, multifaceted, raw human being that you are. In fact, not many people can truly access this sort of vulnerability and authenticity with just anyone. But I truly respect you and believe in your ability to cultivate your own personal safety so that you can feel that authenticity wherever you may roam. Because at the end of the day, you are your own safe space, and no one can take that away from you. Ooh, baby! That was a mega juicy episode and something I've been feeling passionate about lately, especially coming out of my own personal season of winter where I was embracing the hermit role. But with this springtime, baby, I am so excited to step into the many rich layers of my vibrancy, and I'm so thrilled to watch as you do the same. So next week, we'll be going from wolves to witches as we understand more about us magical beings' tendency to keep our radiance to ourselves, how to work even further through fear of visibility by stepping into our magic and through embracing sisterhood. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you share it with your crew and tag TCS to share your vibrancy. You can find all of the materials mentioned in this episode at www.thecarneliansisterhood.com. And if you needed a sign that you are in the right place, this is it, sis. Until next time, bye. The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls, just wanna have fun. I'm a woman, I'm a woman, yes I am. Ain't nobody else can do it quite like we can.
I am woman.